I think auto industry is transforming today in India like never before. I think we have been saying one in 100 year kind of transformation, where your powertrains are changing, the customer who are going to buy your car, their preferences are changing, and also the production technologies are changing to a very large extent. So for Maruti Suzuki, I think the whole perspective going forward is one is very clearly growth. Saying we are today a 2 million car company, we will be a 4 million next 7 years. For us, employee experience is going to be very very important, and the focus is that the way we work with the customer experience for us, we also invest into the employee experience in the company when they interact with our organization.
You have actually talked about solving three big problems in HR. One is HR always has had functional silos. So ability to collaborate with a project mindset has been a consistent challenge. The second is change, which is actually outcome driven versus political. And third is the methodology, which is test success of an idea and then scale it up.
Welcome everyone to this brand new episode of our special series HR Evolution Perspectives 2023 Experts Take, presented by People Matters in association with Darwinbox. I'm your host Pallavi. Through this exclusive series, we delve into conversations with top CHROs and thinking minds from people and works landscape across Asia. This series builds on insights from the HR Revolution Perspectives 2023 Empower and Evolve Research Study, which is one of the largest workplace transformation studies in Asia. We look forward to exciting conversations with top leaders to get their perspective on the top trends we are seeing from the research and understand from them some of the strategies that they will be adopting to drive their business forward in a year that forecasts growth and innovation. In today's episode, we are happy to be joined by Mr. Rajesh Uppal, Senior Executive Director, HR and IT, Maruti Suzuki. Rajesh is a technology professional and IT evangelist who is a futurist at heart. At Maruti Suzuki India Limited, he drives the IT and HR functions with over 35 years of experience in the corporate world, spanning diverse roles and responsibilities ranging from IT, logistics, business analytics, digital transformation, HR, L&D, and CSR. He's a thought leader in information technology and the auto business, always taking a long-term vision and recognizing trends and shifts quickly. Welcome, Mr. Rajesh. It's a privilege to host you.
Thank you so much.
Also joining us for this conversation is Shashwat Kumar, Senior VP, Global Customer Success and Delivery, Darwinbox, a leader with over 2 decades of multi-geographical, multicultural experience in aiding organizations achieve their HR digital transformation successfully. Shashwat has been at the forefront of several trend shifts in HR. At Darwinbox, he helps accelerate the drive to value realization for large and medium enterprise customers, building the leading HCM provider's reputation as a trusted advisor for its 600 plus customers, and accelerates the company's global expansion. Welcome, Shashwat. It's a pleasure to host you today.
Thanks, Pallavi. Great to be here. Look forward to the discussion.
Well, as we have two of the esteemed panelists with us, we're going to get into a conversation about how Maruti Suzuki and Rajesh will be representing Maruti. What is their take? How are they going to implement things at their organization? So I'll start with you, Rajesh. And the question I want to ask is that today Asia is bullish on growth across different business parameters. If we talk about the HR Evolution Perspective study, it notes that there are improvements, significant improvements in key indicators such as profitability, revenue growth among the different respondents who participated in this survey. So considering this, according to you, what are the primary HR growth drivers emerging within your organization?
Thanks, Parvi, for having me here today. I think auto industry is transforming today in India like never before. I think we have been saying one in 100 year kind of transformation, where your powertrains are changing, the customer who are going to buy your car, their preferences are changing, and also the production technologies are changing to a very large extent. So for Maruti Suzuki, I think the whole perspective going forward is one is very clearly growth. Saying we are today a 2 million car company, we will be a 4 million next 7 years. So the huge growth which is there requires so many infrastructure to be built, so many people to be employed, and rightfully skilled to manage that and all, is one big perspective of growth in the company going forward. Secondly, I think it is very important for our industry is the whole kind of the compliance issue of various regulations coming in our industry to look at that. And to manage those regulations, again, you need the right kind of skills to manage understanding of the new requirements and then build on top of it. And third, I think very important perspective is, today in large organizations like this, there may be a 4 to 5 generation of people working together. Now, how do you create a right culture in the organization so that they can co-work and do very, very productively and also very, very, effectively in the organization is the third perspective, I think. It's important that we drive growth, the regulations and the people capability to drive it is the major area for us as a HR perspective going forward.
Sure, Mr. Uppal. In fact, if you look further at the findings of this study, around 63% of CXOs across APAC, they highlighted that development of capabilities suited for critical roles is one of their most important talent risks, and yet only 27% feel that they are adequately prepared to address this concern. So, if I were to ask you, what are some key strategies that you are employing to enable this shift in your organization?
I think organization like us has been always designed very traditionally, where you join at one level, after a few years you get a promotion and you grow in the company with a time-bound manner. But I think transformation we want to bring in is the whole skill-based organization, so that you have a right skill to do right kind of job in the area around, and then maybe your career you should be in your hand. The way you develop your skill, you grow in the company. Then a tenure-based kind of change, which typically has been done in large organizations like us, is the transformation we need to bring in. And that's something we are trying to drive as a project on. How do we change our organization from the level-based organization to a role-based organization? I think that's the change we want to bring in to ensure that we have an adequate skill at right role to do, and also they have right motivation that if they enhance their skill, they can grow in the company going forward. I think it's the one big transformation we are trying to bring in the company. And also, secondly, I think for us, employee experience is going to be very, very important. And the focus is that the way we work with the customer experience for us, we also invest into the employee experience in the company when they interact with our organization. So whether it is a single platform for that engagement, or a small marketplace for do the anything they want for personal use and office use into a one environment. I think the change we have to bring in from technology implementation to a employee experience is the second area for us to work on. Is a change we are trying to build into the whole organization. Third important area is the whole learning part of it. Now, how to make a right kind of learning solution for the employees to develop themselves, because gone are the days when they can spare a couple of days out and do learnings and come back to you. How can we really identify the roles required or the learning required to really for them to perform better? And in order to do that, what kind of hybrid mode of working, something physical, something through digital way to learn, is something to create and make sure that they do that, use that, and you get right return on those investment, or you get right kind of opportunity available people to develop and grow in the organization is the third part of it, actually.
Sure. At this point, I also want to bring in Shashwat into the conversation. And if you look at the priorities, the way they are evolving, Shashwat, how would you look at these HR priorities, and especially if we look back at the learnings and the findings of the HR Evolution Perspectives 2023 study?
So, in fact, it's a great context Mr. Uppal led around growth, the whole complexity of compliance increasing, and managing multi-generational workforce. These are some of the key themes of the research itself. And then you have talked about the fact that how the whole ask from HR is central to business, which is around shifting to a skill-based organization. How do you enable learning even as the BAU continues, and the whole focus on employee experience? This connects to the whole findings as 1,500 plus organizations responded. One of the key findings, Mr. Uppal, was the fact that increasingly HR transformation is moving away from traditional pivots, which was around making HR more efficient, driving experience better, driving operational excellence, and so on. So they are not going away; they are still there. But that's not the core why people are doing transformations in HR. They are doing it to the themes which you talked about, which is how do you allow for faster change on business? How do you enable better ways of working? Employee experience is central. So you have perfectly laid out the theme on transformation. I will want to use your time and experience here. And given that Maruti would have done it across multiple generations, if you look at it, you have been at the forefront of this for many cycles. How this time the transformation you are driving is different from that nuance, and how you are making everyone anchor on the outcomes rather than the process or the program. And given your business experience, it's more likely that you will take that view, and hence it's even more interesting to have your perspective.
See, the transformation today, one thing very clearly now is with the technologies available around, everything is measurable.
Yeah.
Whether it's employee experience or engagement or the other information around to measurable. So the whole theme around transformation now is that today we are at this level in the measurement matrices of the organization. You want to go to next level. Now you define your next levels of work on and do a cross-functional project involving all your business together to do that, then you driving it and all. End of the day, HR is enabler for all those transformation, but is driven through the line managers to drive transformation in the company to do that. So I think the whole KRA for HR is not the traditional matrices of hiring times and TATs and all those things around and all. Today is all about this whole transformation project we are doing. How much success you could build through that transformation is the way the change happening in the transformation work to do that. So working very closely with your business, defining those transformational projects with them through the design thinking process and involving everybody to do that and then start driving those change and all. And again, the methodology of this implementation now is not traditionally that you give your requirement and build something to do that and to some outcome to build. I think the agile methodology has come in here also to implementation. Let's co-create to really develop a new way of working and drive something now, do a pilot, you find something, learnings around, scale it up going forward, something doesn't work, drop it, but find a newer way of doing it with a very clear objective on outcome you want to achieve out of that and all. So that change of methodology, I think, is a very significant now, which traditionally used to be a one big project and you're getting results after a year or so of that transformation. Today, looking at it to small steps, agile, and then start building it up is the way to do that. In fact, what we have done is this whole transformation we want to drive is something branded under one single umbrella. We are saying as a company, our growth plan is for next 6 years now to double our company. So as a IT also, as a HR also, we need to really to grow and drive this transformation. So this whole theme is called now Rev Up to the Future and Joy of Working Together. So under this brand, I think all those initiatives, some of them are agile in nature to do that and all, so that you can create that transformation in the company involving all the employees going forward.
So thanks, Mr. Uppal. Now going back to my HR transformation experience of many years, you have actually talked about solving three big problems in HR. One is HR always has had functional silos. So ability to collaborate with a project mindset has been a consistent challenge. So you are saying that that's what you are doing. The second is change, which is actually outcome driven versus political. The only switch can happen on data. So that's the first thing you said, that
absolutely
you start collaborating on data, you are trying to problem solve rather than pointing finger. And third is the methodology, which is test success of an idea and then scale it up. So all three super important. And I am trying to summarize it because these are very known problem areas in HR. So for example, the whole governance, which is data driven, once you are live, is ideally you should not need HR transformation again. Because if you are governing things with data, you are constantly calibrating. and it should always be ready and modern. Now going back to employee experience, because Maruti Suzuki has been a super successful organization. From the time you got created, you have been a market leader. And at times, leadership also leads to entrenchment of certain behaviors, so change is tougher. Now, that with the complexity of multiple generation, which you have talked about, also, if you look at the research itself, we realize, and a lot of organizations, we thought that we will have differences. What we realized was there is less difference in the purpose. Everyone is wanting a sense of purpose. Across demographics, people are asking for similar things of career capability, but purpose is top. But how they are wanting and at what pace is different. That's what research is saying. And hence, your perspective will be super important. Some ideas on your learning till date on enabling experience, what experience matters. You also have R&D employees, manufacturing employees, which is beyond generations, and sales.
Absolutely.
So how you are tackling this complexity?
I think first thing is that the large organizations always get bound by a single policy for the whole organization.
Yes.
And that sometimes I think we have to break now, and we are successfully able to break now, that we have a policy based on the kind of role you are doing in the company. Maybe manufacturing will have a separate policy of implementation. Maybe R&D will have different, or maybe a marketing sales who are in field traveling around, they could have a different policy to work on. So first is the whole policy intervention to recognize that the requirement of different roles in the company is different, and you really create some policies for their working to do together. That's one. Secondly, I think from our technology platform point of view, now today is big requirement that because you as a employee, you shop online through Amazon, you buy movie tickets through online and all. But for enterprise, you should not come to a laptop and start doing your work on that to work on. How can you make experience of an employee like he does anything work in this company around? So how can we make a plan, maybe infrastructure for employees, giving him experience what he normally is habituated to having in day-to-day life. So that's very important for them to work on. This part is working place. Maybe today we have 3 applications for our employees to work on different functions of that. We are saying we should have one single employee experience, right from applying to the company to your exit. How can you manage everything into a one single experience for him, so that he doesn't have to move around and all, and that too again for all level of the in the company, whether you are a senior management or a workman at the shop floor, you have a very similar seamless experience in the lifetime of our employee. I think that's very important, and all we need to build that technology. We are building the technology platform.
Yeah, so again, I will say before I hand it back to Pallavi. So what you said is super interesting, Mr. Uppal. What you are pointing out is the psychographic of independent of demographics. Because if you look at yourself or if you look at my demographics, people will expect that we are not a millennial, we are not a Gen Z. But even as we consume a bank, as we actually book travel, as we do those things, we have changed from the time we have started our career. So from a psychographic perspective, all employees have changed. And your point is right. Even a worker in shop floor wants to consume things on mobile. So in that sense, it should not be differentiated. So again, I will say great point, and talks to deeper research in this area is that it's demographics is important. Psychographics is a more societal change. And that's equally important as you think of experience. Pallavi, do you want to chip in with some questions from your end? Because otherwise I will take all the time.
Thank you, Sashwat. Just before we leave, Mr. Uppal, maybe if he can share one key takeaway or something that really stayed with him, like you've seen the report and the insights out of it. Anything, something that is very significant, you feel this is like important and everyone should know, everyone who's watching this, Mr. Uppal.
I think very, very important now is to embed the hybrid way of learning in your whole company development process. And I'll give you one example on that. See, we wanted to train all management people on developing their digital skills. No. As I said, the people. It's difficult to teach people at a senior level on that to do that. But I think we created some learning journey for them, which was a almost 16-week journey with every week 2 hours to be taken online with best of professor coming from the globe and teaching them on various things, giving them homework to identify, how can you use this learning to improve the business going forward. And I was surprised the kind of, the learnings which they brought into the business, that using digital and I can improve my business through that technology. And they took ownership of implementation of that in the company. I've never seen a better, implementation adoption of the technologies by integrating learning with the outcome of that learning into the development in the company. I think very phenomenal success to that. So the point I'm saying is now their new innovative way of learning, which I think post-COVID we have learned to build on. Now, how do we integrate that into the whole transformation of the company? Is a one big piece which HR need to or HR team need to facilitate and build that so that you transform the company with your input into the working on. I think that's the big learning which I could build into our company, and we have been fairly successful on transforming in those digital projects in the company.
Thank you so much for sharing all your learnings and insights. A big thanks to Sashwat as well for being part of this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for everyone who's watching this interview, thank you once again for tuning in. And if you've not yet got a copy of the HR Revolution Perspectives 2023 Empower and Evolve edition, then you can just click on the link provided below this interview to download it now. And with this, we wrap up today's interview. Stay tuned as HR Revolution Perspectives 2023 Experts Take brings you another insight-filled discussion where we break down the important talent trends across India and APAC and deliberate solutions with the top talent leaders in the region. Thank you and have a good day.